Loyalty is a currency too many people spend without earning it. Just because someone has been in your life for years doesn't mean they deserve a permanent place in it. Blood, friendship, romance? None of that justifies betrayal. Some of you are out here forgiving people because you love them. You think love is supposed to endure everything, even disrespect. That's the trap. That's how you get used. That's how you get played. You're letting history blind you to reality. You're letting emotions silence the warning signs that are screaming in your gut. You know damn well when someone's crossed the line. You feel it, but you lie to yourself. They simply withdraw. You say things like, they didn't mean it. Or, they're going through a lot. No. What they're going through doesn't give them the right to betray your trust. Stop acting like loyalty is a gift you hand out. It's not a birthday present. It's not charity. Loyalty is earned, daily, consistently through actions, not just words. You can't let someone spit on your standards just because they once hugged you when you were down. People will use your kindness as leverage. They'll weaponize your empathy. They'll cross boundaries and then throw your love back in your face when you call them out. That's not loyalty. That's manipulation. You don't owe anybody forgiveness for something they chose to do. Betrayal isn't an accident. People don't just slip up and violate trust. It's not a stumble. It's a decision. It's a choice made in full consciousness. And that choice tells you everything you need to know. You're out here letting snakes wrap themselves in sentimental excuses. But we've been through so much together. So what? They simply withdraw. That doesn't erase the fact that they betrayed you. That doesn't justify the way they laughed behind your back, twisted your words, or stood silent when they should have stood up for you. History doesn't equal loyalty. Love doesn't excuse treachery. And connection doesn't cancel out character. They simply withdraw. People like to act shocked when they're cut after crossing the line. They think love is a free pass. They think your heart is a prison cell they can visit whenever they want, no consequences. You've got to break that illusion. You've got to show them that your loyalty is rooted in discipline, not emotion. You can love someone and still walk away. You can love someone and still never forgive what they did. Love doesn't mean staying chained to pain. Love doesn't mean setting yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Forgiveness without accountability is surrender. And that's what too many people are doing. Surrendering. Letting people walk all over them in the name of love. That's weakness. That's self-betrayal. That's how you become your own enemy. You can't lead a disciplined life while entertaining undisciplined people. You can't build strength while surrounding yourself with those who exploit your softness. Loyalty isn't about being a doormat. It's about standing on principles that don't bend just because your heart's involved. Emotional abuse isn't loud. It doesn't come with punches or screaming fits all the time. It's silent, subtle, calculated. It hides behind fake concern and sweet words. That's what makes it lethal. When someone you love starts playing games with your mind, twisting your reality, making you doubt yourself, punishing you with silence. They're not confused. They're not emotional. They're strategic. They're controlling you without laying a hand on you. That's psychological warfare. And if you don't wake up to it, you'll lose the war without ever knowing a battle was being fought. They'll gaslight you and then call you sensitive. They'll say things like, "You're overreacting," or "That's not what I meant." They'll erase your perception, override your instincts, and reprogram your identity. And you'll start believing them. That's the sick part. You'll start thinking you're the problem. That maybe you're too demanding, too emotional, too intense, but you're not. You're just being played, controlled, undermined, and the longer you tolerate it, the deeper you sink into their narrative, not your own. Love isn't supposed to feel like walking on a minefield. You're not supposed to flinch every time you speak. You're not supposed to feel punished for expressing your needs. But emotional abusers train you like a dog. They reward you when you obey and punish you when you push back. If you go silent, they come closer. If you speak truth, they withdraw. It's not random. It's conditioning. And it breaks you down in pieces, slowly, until the version of yourself that once had standards, pride, and clarity becomes a shell that just wants peace. Even if that peace is built on your own silence, they'll say they love you. They'll say they care. But watch their actions. Watch the patterns. Watch how they behave when you set boundaries. That's the real truth. That's where the mask slips. Because emotional abusers don't care about connection. They care about control. They feed off your confusion, your loyalty, your emotional investment. They know you care. They simply withdraw. That's why they can weaponize your love. They know you'll give them the benefit of the doubt over and over. That's the battlefield, and that's the trap. And here's what they fear most: clarity. The moment you see the game, the moment you step back and connect the dots, the illusion breaks. They're not complicated. They're not misunderstood. They're predators in disguise, and you don't forgive predators. You don't rationalize with someone who erodes your self-worth day after day while pretending to love you. That's not love. That's control in a costume. That's warfare hidden in romance. They'll use silence as a weapon. Ignore you just long enough to make you beg for their attention. Then they'll throw you scraps and call it love. They'll trigger guilt in you for reacting to their abuse. They'll convince you that your reactions are the problem, not their behavior. That's how deep the manipulation goes. They don't need to scream. They just need to make you question yourself enough times until you stop resisting, until you surrender, until you break. Contempt is the final stage before destruction. It's not just disrespect, it's decay. When someone starts to look down on you, mock your dreams, dismiss your values, roll their eyes when you speak, you're not in a relationship anymore. You're in a battlefield where your dignity is bleeding out. They simply withdraw. Contempt is the body language of a person who no longer sees you as an equal. It's a quiet, constant reminder that they think they're better than you. And the longer you tolerate it, the more you begin to believe it too. You can feel contempt without a word being spoken. It's in the tone of voice. It's in the smirk. It's in the way they talk about you when others are around. Subtle jokes that land like punches, little remarks that make you shrink. And when you confront them, they'll laugh. Relax, I'm just joking. But it's never just a joke. It's an insult dressed in humor, a dagger coated in sugar, and they know exactly what they're doing. Contempt isn't clumsy. It's deliberate. It's a decision to put themselves above you, to make you small so they can feel big. It starts small. They'll interrupt you mid-sentence. They'll correct your every move. They'll act bored when you talk about your passions. They'll criticize your ideas not to help, but to break you. Then, over time, it escalates. They'll stop listening altogether. They'll make choices that affect you without even asking. They'll start talking to others like you're a burden, and you'll sit there, trying to rationalize it. You'll blame stress, work, moods, anything but the truth, because admitting they see you as less is too painful. But that truth will eat at you. It'll poison your confidence. It'll turn you into a shell of the person you once were. Love without respect is a lie. It's a transaction. And contempt is the proof that the deal is off. You can't fix contempt with compromise. You can't heal it with time. Once someone sees you as beneath them, every interaction becomes a power play. They stop arguing to solve problems. They argue to dominate, to win, to make you feel stupid, slow, unworthy. And the worst part, you start defending them to yourself. You start making excuses for what they act the way they do. You forget what respect even feels like, because you've been living in a storm of belittlement. Contempt doesn't need to be screamed. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It can be cold, distant, icy. It shows up in sarcasm, eye rolls, smirks, sighs, and that flat tone that tells you they've stopped taking you seriously. And if you keep forgiving that behavior, if you keep brushing it off because they're just having a bad day, you teach them that you'll tolerate being devalued. You teach them that love is stronger than self-respect. And that's a lesson they will never unlearn. Because the moment someone gets away with contempt once, they never look at you the same way again. Sabotage doesn't always come in the form of direct attack. Sometimes it wears the face of love. Sometimes it sounds like concern. I just don't want you to be disappointed. Are you sure you want to take on that much? Maybe you should slow down a bit. These are the words of a dream killer wrapped in soft intentions. And if you're not alert, you'll mistake their doubt for wisdom. You'll confuse their fear for care. But behind those words is a deeper message: stay small. Don't grow. Don't outpace me. When someone truly believes in you, they challenge you, they push you, they support the version of you that's bigger than who you are now. But when someone fears your growth, because it threatens their control, their ego, or the balance of power in the relationship, they disguise their sabotage as love. They won't say, "I hope you fail," but they'll plant seeds of hesitation. They'll remind you of past mistakes. They'll highlight the risks, not to protect you, but to slow you down just enough to keep you reachable, predictable, and under control. And the worst part is they know you'll listen. They know how to frame it just right. They've studied your patterns. They know when you're tired, when you're doubting yourself, and that's when they strike. Not with malice, but with strategic hesitation. They want you to think they're being realistic, practical, mature, but deep down, they're playing defense against your potential, against your momentum, against the day you no longer need their validation or their permission to move forward. It's not always about ambition or career. Sometimes it's your healing they don't want. Sometimes it's your confidence they fear. You start setting boundaries, and suddenly you're changing. You start speaking with more certainty, and suddenly you're acting different. That's not concern. That's resistance. Withdraw. Because the version of you that's growing threatens the version of them that was comfortable with your silence, your compliance, your dependence. They don't want you strong. They want you safe. Safe for them, not for you. And when you confront it, they'll flip the script. I was just looking out for you. I care about you too much to see you get hurt. But caring isn't control. Caring isn't undermining someone's fire because you're afraid of getting burned. The truth is, they don't trust your ability to rise because they've already decided who you are and where your limits lie. And once someone puts a ceiling on your life, no amount of love should make you accept it. No amount of loyalty should convince you to shrink just to stay digestible. You can't build a future while dragging the weight of people who secretly hope you never reach it. You can't become who you're meant to be while surrounded by voices that speak fear every time you speak vision. It doesn't matter if they're family, friends, or lovers. If they're pulling you backwards under the guise of care, they're not protecting you. They're anchoring you. And you weren't built to live on a leash made of guilt and false concern. Repetition exposes the truth. One mistake can be forgiven. A second might be explained. But when someone repeats the same behavior after being called out, after you've spoken your pain, after you've made your limits clear, that's not a slip up, that's intent. That's a calculated choice. That's them saying, they simply withdraw. I heard you and I don't care. And if you keep forgiving that pattern, you're not healing anything. You're enabling it. You're teaching them how to disrespect you more efficiently next time. People know exactly what they're doing when they hurt you the same way twice. They've seen the effect. They've watched you break. They've heard the tone in your voice when you explained how it felt. And then they go and do it again. Sometimes with more precision, more timing, more venom. That's not confusion, that's strategy. And every time you forgive it, every time you let it slide, you're shrinking your own worth in the name of love, loyalty, or nostalgia. But repetition doesn't lie. It's the blueprint of a person's character. They'll tell you, I'm trying. They'll say, change takes time. But actions over time reveal truth. If someone is truly changing, you'll see effort, you'll see discomfort, you'll see sacrifice. They simply withdraw. But if you keep seeing the same offense with the same excuses, you're not dealing with someone who's growing. You're dealing with someone who's adapting, learning what they can get away with, how far they can push, how many apologies they need to throw in to reset the cycle. That cycle becomes a loop. Hurt, apologize, reset. Hurt, apologize, reset. And if you don't break it, it becomes your new normal. You start bracing for the next hit. You start building routines around damage control. And that's not love, that's survival. That's endurance under the illusion of care. And every time you justify their behavior with, they didn't mean it, you erase the reality that they did it. Again. You start believing the words more than the behavior. And that's where self-betrayal begins. You can't keep giving someone the benefit of the doubt when their history is a pattern of the same violations. You can't keep confusing potential with reality. The truth is, people show you exactly who they are by what they repeat. They show you their priorities by what they protect. And if they keep choosing the same actions that hurt you, they're prioritizing themselves at your expense. That's not a relationship. That's exploitation disguised as intimacy. Every repetition without consequence deepens the groove. It tells them, this is acceptable. It tells them your boundaries are just suggestions. And once they know you'll always come back, always understand, always forgive, they lose all incentive to respect you. They stop fearing loss. They stop valuing your presence. And the behavior becomes not just frequent, it becomes normalized. You start adapting to the very thing that's destroying you because it's familiar. But familiarity is not safety, and love without accountability is not love at all. If you want to live with strength, clarity, and purpose, you have to draw the line with no hesitation. Love is not a reason to tolerate betrayal. It's not an excuse for abuse. It's not a shield for sabotage. Too many people are mistaking emotional attachment for loyalty, when in reality, they're just addicted to the pain. They're scared to walk away, scared to be alone, scared to start over. But fear is not a compass, and forgiveness doesn't heal what someone keeps breaking on purpose. You don't rise by holding on to people who pull you down. You don't grow by keeping the same cycles alive out of comfort. And you sure as hell don't build a legacy by tolerating behaviors that slowly erase your identity. When someone shows you who they are through their repetition, their contempt, their emotional games, and their disguised sabotage, you believe it. You don't debate it. You don't rationalize it. You act. This isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. It's about protecting your mind, your mission, your momentum. You can love someone and still outgrow them. You can care about someone and still never let them hurt you again. Forgiveness is for the strong. But forgetting patterns, ignoring disrespect, and excusing sabotage is for the weak. You weren't built to be weak. You were built to rise. So cut the cord, lock the door, move forward, and never apologize for protecting your peace.